We're gonna show you step by step how to transform your old, ugly, outdated countertops. We did our dirty pour technique. We coated our backsplashes separately. We also did an undermount sink insert, and you're gonna see it all right here, Leggari products. All right guys, so primer's been down for about an hour. So now I'm gonna take tape and create a dam everywhere on these counters to hold the resin on the top until it sets up enough to where the design on the top doesn't move when I pull the tape. And then we'll coat our edges. So the best way to do it is use just some yellow painter's tape, masking tape. Make sure you tape high enough, because if I tape it too low, resin will build up and it can kind of flow over. So make sure you tape it up high enough. And then make sure you're really pushing in these seams before you go past them on these inside corners. And I want to go around and really push this down. Make sure we get a nice tight seal. Then we're going to take Gorilla Tape, and then we're going to go right over this with the Gorilla Tape. It's a little bit more sturdy. And we just want to tape to the same height. Kind of see how high we are. About a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch above the top of the counter. And then again, really push this in before you go past it. And that's how you create a dam when you're doing a dirty pour. So if you say you had tile on here and you wanted to level that out with epoxy, you would do the same thing with the tape. Create a dam, barrier, flood coat your counter, get all your tiles leveled, and then you would pull the tape. The next day, sand your edges smooth, and then you're ready for metallic epoxy. But we're gonna pull our tape early before the resin's completely dry so it drips down our faces and coats our edges too. So I'll finish taping these off and then we'll show you guys the pour. Okay, so first thing we want to do, I have my clear resin mixed up. I'm going to do a really thin layer, basically coating the counters, the majority of them, with epoxy. That way when I do our dirty pour, it's going to be able to level out easier, move easier, because it already has some fluid resin on the counter. So I'll go around and just pour a bead down the middle. And then I'll tilt that back, that way I'm not dripping everywhere. And I'm just gonna move this around with my hand real quick. Doesn't take much. Just kind of using your hand as a squeegee. Again, we're just trying to get a thin layer of epoxy everywhere. And you don't want to really push on your tape hard. You run the chance of kind of pushing it off your edge. So I'll be light when I hit that, but kind of see how easy it is to spread this stuff out with your hands. You can also use squeegees, rollers. You just don't want to use a nap roller. Use a foam roller if you're doing this, because you definitely don't want a bunch of roller hairs in this coat. So use your hands, squeegee, or a foam roller. I'm not worried about doing the backsplashes because they're so small. I'll be able to do a dirty pour wide vein and basically cover them in one coat. So now that we have our clear epoxy everywhere, and don't worry if you're doing it with your hands, if it's all level looking. Even a missed spot right here doesn't really matter. Because again, we're going to be adding a lot more resin to these tops. So we'll go mix that, and then we'll come and show you how we apply it. All right, so the easiest way to do a dirty pour, mix up all your clear resin, which I have in this bucket. Then I'm gonna separate this into, it's 3 gallons. So I'm gonna split this into half. So I'll have 1.5 gallons of clear, 1.5 gallons of clear, both have the hardener in, so they're basically ready to go. And I'll add, since we're doing 2 colors and some spray paint, I'll add silver to this one, black to this one. And then I have my spray paint sprayed out into a cup. So then I'll take these 2 colors and fill up these jugs, randomly pouring the colors in, and then I have all my dirty pour batches ready to go instead of trying to measure out for each one on every single one of these. You just gotta be working quick. Obviously you have the resin in a mass like this, it's gonna heat up on you. So you just wanna make sure you're not letting it sit in a big bucket like this longer than it has to. Obviously, when you get into smaller containers like this, you have a little more pot life, but still, it's not a lot. So you want to make sure everything's ready to go. So once I'm poured out, I can go and start immediately applying it to the countertops. All right guys, so now we got 3 gallons ready. We got 1.5 gallons of silver, 1.5 gallons of black. Now the fun part comes when we're gonna start pouring them in here. It's obviously gonna make a mess because I don't have someone to wipe my drips. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna pour some of this chrome into the bottom on some of these. And again, we're not gonna do them all the same. I always like to leave just a tad bit. What I mean by a tad bit, that's about a tad bit. So that's not gonna set up in the bucket on us, and if I need more silver or black, I can come out here and pour that in a cup and use it. Now we'll kind of even all these off, and then these are all our dirty pour batches. Not too shabby for just eyeballing them all out. So now we have a little black, a little silver in there, but we got to get it on the counter now. So I'm gonna start bringing all these inside, and then we'll show you guys the next step. All right, guys, it's game time. We're about to do an amazing dirty pour on this, wider veins, and we're gonna completely cover the counters with all of our dirty pour buckets. So I set them here so they're off to the side so I'm not knocking them over. And once I'm done with one, I grab another. You kind of want to do this quick because we got epoxy with hardener in it, so it is going to start to heat up the longer that it sits in a mass like that. So again, if this is your first time, I don't recommend mixing this much at once. Smaller batches, pour it out, mix another smaller batch, pour it out, and so on. But we're going to get right on it. So we have our base coat epoxy down to kind of minimize surface tension, and I'm going to just start coating these counters until they're all coated. So I'm going to pour a little bit out and just start running this around. Little there, come over here. Maybe we'll start kind of out here a little more. Right, get some of that black. And you can tell, see I'm getting more to the black versus the silver out there. So, do a little bit more here. Again, it's really awesome. You cannot screw this up. So I already know I'm gonna need a little more black out here. There we go. So since that chrome metallic is rising to the surface, obviously the first couple pours that I do are gonna be kind of really chrome, so I want to keep that in mind. So what I might do is go through these until I get down to the black. So I'm not trying to fill it all up right now because that's going to level out a lot and fill in even more. So I want to go through and get the majority of the counter coated. Maybe start adding some different angles in it too. Well, I got the majority of the counters coated. So now I can kind of move to a smaller piece of cardboard, which I have here, and I'll just fold this. That way I can kind of be more precise at where I'm pouring stuff out at. Make sure everything's been hit. Obviously I need to get a little bit more on the backsplashes so they kind of level off. And you can tell what happens if you don't put epoxy down first. We got a lot of surface tension. So we'll need a little bit more resin on those. The resin's still got a lot to level out. We got a lot of resin on here. Okay, so we'll start with a fresh piece of cardboard. We'll go finish off these backsplashes first because definitely don't want to run out on those. Alright guys, so I'm going to just take the remainder of this and pour small amounts out in all of these just in case I'm going to need resin later. I can dip into these as long as there's not a lot of product in there. It shouldn't heat up and kick off on us. And then the other thing, once I get the majority out, I can kind of start running. Since I have the majority product in here is black, I can pinch that. We'll start kind of running some solid black veins out here. Guess it's kind of blackish silver. This adds a lot of depth to your counter just by coming out and kind of following one of the designs. Alright guys, so when you're doing this technique where you're kind of laying a flat sheet of epoxy down, it traps a lot of air into it. So what we're going to do is take isopropyl, mist the surface to pop these bubbles. And you'll kind of see they'll just start popping. So even creating bubbles like this, we don't have to torch the product. We can just kind of spritz the surface, popping all the bubbles. You can tell they just pop immediately. And you really only get these type of bubbles when you're doing this technique. So yeah, you might have to go around another time and just double check if there's any other bubbles. But that's pretty much it. So we'll come and spray these. All right guys, so what I'm doing here is just, since we didn't tape these off, I'm just brushing in my edges, or my corners. So this, what I'm brushing right now is gonna be the top of the backsplash. So brush it in, that way all the resin can kind of flow over evenly. Everything will get coated. We don't wanna have any missed spots. All right guys, so we're pulling the tape now. Obviously we had some blowouts, but you typically want to wait about an hour to 2 hours, obviously depending on the temperature, before you guys pull the tape. If you wait too long, then the resin's not going to want to flow over the edge and coat your edges. So you really want to make sure you don't wait too long. So we'll get all the tape pulled, and then we'll go around, brush our edges in, and then that'll let the resin flow over nice and evenly. All right guys, so we got the tape pulled. Now the next step is, obviously you can see we have some surface tension here, so the easiest way to fix that and to get that to flow over evenly is just brush our edge in. And I typically want to get some product on my paintbrush before I just start brushing on here, so we're not doing it dry. And don't worry about screwing up the design, because it's still going to drip off. And pull that top design onto the edges. You can already see it's already started to flow. So our last step is to just scrape our bottom drips. And obviously it's still a little fluid, so you probably have to scrape it again, maybe half an hour or so, maybe even an hour. Just depends, you kind of want to hang around and make sure, but all we're doing is running a paint stick, something skinny, thin, and we're just scraping that bottom. Just like that, and it's getting all the excess off of there. And then when it starts to really set up on you and get kind of gummy, you want to go to something really skinny, like a putty knife, a tongue depressor, something that's really skinny that can kind of shave it off. That's about it. So we're going to run around these, pull all the drips, and then the homeowner's going to finish the last scrapes within the next hour or so. Okay, I'm getting ready to apply our matte urethane. They opted in for the matte because it's super popular right now. So I'm gonna start over here, work my way around. I'll finish on the backsplashes there. And I don't really want to set my roller tray since this is really fresh epoxy. So I'm gonna set it here and then I'll just dip out of here and then roll the top. So we'll pour a little bit in here. Set this off to the side. I've already de-shedded the roller with tape, got all the loose fibers off. And then we're gonna take a second and kind of saturate this roller. Just kind of roll that urethane, get it soaked into the roller there so we get an even roll. All right, and we're gonna start. Just roll a strip down the middle. And again, this is the easiest way to get a matte finish on a high gloss surface. Our WB urethane. Really easy to apply, as you can see. So you want to work in small sections. I don't want to try to hit my whole counter. Obviously this is a small spot so I can finish this off too, but I usually do like 3 to 4 foot sections. And I'm going to be doing 2 coats on this, and the cool thing about our urethanes is we can do another coat within about a half an hour. So we don't have to wait till the next day, which is awesome. All right, so we'll flatten the roller off, and we'll do our final back roll just real quick and light. Again, we're just trying to not get any thick roller lines. Try to even everything out. It doesn't take much. I'm not applying any pressure. Finished roll is going into another part of the counter. Feather it off, don't just stop and pull it up. So you'll see I'll roll and then I'll feather it off. So yeah, cool, this will all dry. A super matte low sheet finish. And if you guys are wanting like a high gloss, we also have the urethane in high gloss. And we have our glaze coat epoxy, which lays out glass smooth like the epoxy itself for like a flood coat. All right, so we're gonna apply the second coat of the matte urethane. It's been about 20 minutes. You just wanna make sure there's no white spots. Everything looks dry. It's obviously still has a shine. The matte's pretty cool. It goes from the white haze when you're putting it on to glossy, and then once it's fully dry, it's like a really matte finish. So this is the perfect time. Everything's kind of dry. You don't see any white spots. So we're gonna do our second coat, and we waited about 20 to 30 minutes from when we applied that first coat. And we're just gonna do the same thing. Roll the bead down the middle, cross roll it, hit our edges, and do our final back roll.
If your kitchen countertops need an update, check out the link in the description below to order your epoxy countertop kit today. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click that bell button so you don't miss out on any future projects.